Today we're going to look at getting started with the RadDragAndDrop Manager. RadDragAndDrop Manager is part of the Telerik controls for Silverlight WPF control suite for .NET XAML development. In this video we're going to see how easy it is to take two list boxes and drag and drop items between them using the RadDragAndDrop Manager. Let's go ahead and jump into Visual Studio 2010 and get started. So here we are, we're inside of Visual Studio 2010. And I'm simply going to go File, New, Project. I'm just going to give this the name of RadDragDrop Getting Started TTV, and I'm going to go ahead and select OK. I'm going to host the Silverlight application in a new website, and I'm also going to be using Silverlight version 5. After I hit OK, you're going to see the next screen pop up, and this is the project configuration wizard. Well, I know that the drag and drop framework is actually contained in Telerik.windows.controls, so I'm going to simply place a check on that and then hit finish. Now once I've done that, the project's going to begin spinning up, and I'm going to notice two things here. Under references, we have Telerik.windows.controls, and then in our user control, we have the Telerik XML namespace already added for us. So the first thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to add in some images that we're going to use to drag and drop between the list boxes. So I'm just going to right click, I'm going to hit add, I'm going to go to new folder, and I'm going to type in images. So I already have a couple of images that I'm going to use, so I'm going to select add and then existing item, and I'm just going to navigate over to a folder where I have these images, and I'm going to select the add button. So you'll see the images have been added to our project here. Next up, I'm going to begin creating my UI. So I'm just going to expand this window a bit, and I'm going to add in a XML namespace here of Telerik DragDrop that's going to map to Telerik.windows.controls.dragDrop, and then the assembly, of course, in the Telerik.windows.controls. Next up, we're going to add in a couple of user control.resources. So right before my grid, I'm just going to paste in a code snippet here, and you'll see that we first have a data template that's called application drag template. This is going to simply have an image in it. That way we can see the item that we're dragging from one list box to the next list box. And then of course we have a style here of a list box item that is setting the property horizontal content alignment to stretch, and then setting the property Telerik RadDragAndDrop Manager allow drag to true. And we're going to add this to our list box. Now that we have that in place, we're going to go ahead and fill in the grid. So we're just going to begin by adding in some column definitions here, and I've just dropped in the 3 column definitions, and this is just going to give us a little space, so we're going to put a list box here and another list box here. So let's scroll back up and let's add in our first list box, which is going to display all of the applications that we have. So our first list box, called All Applications box, is going to be here, and then we're going to add a My Applications here where the user is allowed to drag and drop items between the list box. So if we scroll back up again, we can see we have a list box. We gave it a name. We set allow drop to true. We set the item container style as a static resource of draggable item style. And if we scroll down inside of our listbox.item template, you'll see that we have a data template defined. The standard grid here, we have an image that's going to display an image that we select in just a moment. Then we're going to have a text box with the name, and then another text block with the author. That pretty much wraps up the first list box, so let's go ahead and add in the My Applications list box. So just underneath our list box here, I'm going to paste in the My Applications. Again, we give it a name, and this time we set allow drop to true. The item container style is set to a draggable item style. And then again, we have a listbox.item template. There's a data template, and there's simply a stack panel that's going to display the image and it's going to display the name. So just as a quick recap, our first list box was for all of the applications, and the second list box was for my applications, and the user will drag and drop between those. So now that we have our UI created, let's go ahead and add some code to make this work. I'm going to begin by double clicking on the main page.xaml and then double clicking on the main page.xaml.cs. I'm going to fix my using statements very quickly because I know that I'm going to be using the following statements. Now I'm just going to drop in two observable collections here that are going to contain the items for all applications and for my applications. And while we're here, let's just go ahead and let's create this class. So I'm going to generate this class here called application info, and I double click on application info, and I'm just going to drop in a few properties here. The icon path that we defined earlier, the name, and then the author. And we saw we were binding to these in the XAML of the main page.xaml a little bit earlier. So we're going to switch back over to our main page.xaml.cs, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to create this method. So inside of this method, we're just going to generate a little bit of dummy data here, and you can see we're basically going to create our observable collection. The name's going to be data, and then we're going to add several items here. So let's go back up, and underneath the initialize component, let's drop in some code. So under this initialize component, I've set my first list box item source to all applications, which we see here, and then I've set my applications box .item source to my applications, which is defined here. So now you'll see we have a RadDragAndDrop manager, and we're actually adding a add drag query handler and a drag info handler, and these have names of on drag query, on drag info, and then of course we have another add drop query and then an add drop info handler. So the thing to note here is that the info events are there to inform you about something, whereas the query events are going to ask permission or allowing you to tweak the settings of something. Let's go ahead and fill in these events. So I'm going to come underneath my generate application infos, and I'm going to paste them in. So the first one that we see here, on drag query, is going to take the list box item that we selected, and if it is draggable, it's going to apply data template that we sent back on the main page.xaml as the drag queue. And you can see that if we come back over here and scroll back up to the top, you'll see the application drag template listed here. Next up, if we scroll down to the on drag info, it is going to take our selected listbox item and remove it from the collection because it's been moved to another control. And we see that here. If we go ahead and scroll down, we will now see our on drop query. This is going to see if we can drop the item onto the control, and the on drop info is going to add it to the item source. So let's go ahead and let's go back to our main page.xaml, and let's go ahead and let's run this application. So we'll do that by going debug, start without debugging, and I'm going to select my paintbrush, and as you can see I have a icon of the paintbrush. I'm going to let go, and now that item has been removed from this collection and it's been added to this other collection. I can go ahead and I can drag another item here, and you can see it's been added to this collection as well. I can also take this item and bring it back over to our original list and drop it, and it's been added back. So thank you for watching, and please tune in to tv.telerik.com for more videos, and check out blogs.telerik.com for the latest news and announcements.